So we're doing 7.4 factor by grouping. So we learned the first factoring methods here. For number one, that is called what?
Common factor.
Right, common factor. We use GCF. And we use common factor, the greatest common factor, when you have any number of terms, right? Doesn't matter, that's always the one you check with first. Any number of terms, and let's put a little star, check first. Okay, if you have two terms, what factoring method do we use? Not grouping yet. Right. Difference of squares. Good. So difference of squares. What does the word difference not mean, but when do we use it? In addition or subtraction? Yes, subtraction. So that means you're going to have a subtraction sign in there. Okay, number 3. It says 3 terms. What method for factoring do we use for 3 terms? Right, trial and error. So let's put that on here. And lastly, we have 4 terms. We have not done this yet. We're going to do it right now. It is called grouping. So let's do grouping. And let's go ahead and write down some steps for grouping here. Okay? So number 1, first step. You will group the first 2 and last 2 terms. So group the first, huh? Oh, group first 2 and last 2 terms. Make sure you're writing these down. I will be checking notes. Number 2, second step. You will factor the greatest common factor. So factor GCF from each group. And your parentheses, this is still part of the same step, parentheses should be the same. And we will do this, you will see what it looks like. Yeah. Okay, step 3, last step. You will, number 3, inside parentheses is 1 factor. So inside parenthesis is 1 factor. Outside parenthesis is the other factor. Let's see if I have room. Oh, here we go. We have some room. Outside parenthesis is second factor. Okay, so there's 3 steps for grouping. Now it looks like a lot written in words, but you will see what that looks like right now. So let's go to number 1, factor by grouping. So again, we have how many terms here? 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 4 terms. So if you have 4 terms, what method do we use? Grouping, yes. We will use grouping right here, factor by grouping. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is you're going to group them, 2 groups. So there's our first group. Let me use the pen. There we go. There is our first group, and here is our second group. Now, it said, so first you have to group the first 2 and the last 2 together. The second step is now you will factor the GCF from each group. So we're going to take that first group that we have right here, and let's get the greatest common factor between 6AB and 4A. What's the greatest common factor here? 2. 2 can definitely go into 4 and 6. Is there another one? Yep, and that A. They both have an A. Let's do our parentheses. Again, we're just working with that first group. So 2 times what gives us 6? 3. Good. And we already have the A here, right? So we don't have to write A. Let's bring that B down. Bring down that plus. 2 times what is 4? 2. Good. All right. So we did the first part. We got the GCF out of the first group. Now let's get our GCF out of the next group. So we have this 6, or this 9 and 6. What's the greatest common factor there? 3. Very good. So let's bring down that plus sign. And now we have a 3 with parentheses. Now 3 times what is 9?
3.
Bring down that B. Bring down that plus. 3 times what is 6? 2. Now notice here, because in step 3 it says inside parenthesis, or does it say inside parenthesis is one factor, outside is the second factor. So notice here we have the same, right? So after you factor out the greatest common factor, you get the same thing in both parentheses. See that? Everyone see it? Now let's go ahead and write that out here. 3b plus 2. We're going to write it one time. Then we're going to take this 2a and that plus 3 and put those together. Now I have 2a plus 3. What makes us do that? Because basically you're kind of taking out the greatest common factor again, which would be this 3b plus 2. So you're bringing that out here. And then what you're left with is that 2a plus 3. Yes? Okay, so our final answer here is right here. This 3b plus 2 times 2a plus 3. Let's try this again with number 2. Okay, how many terms do we have here? 4. So what do we do if we have 4 terms? Right, well, we have can we do well, first we have to group them, then do GCF, right? So let's get our group together. We have our 2 groups. Now we can do GCF. So what's our GCF of that first group?
12.
Yes, sir. X.
So we have 3 and 4. Yes, we have x, and we have x squared or x cubed. Which one is the common factor?
Squared.
Right, x squared. So let's pull out that x squared. And what are we left with in parentheses? We have that 3. Right, 3x. Bring down that minus. Right, we just keep that 4. We want to do x squared because we have the x squared out here. So it's x squared times 4 would give us that 4x squared. Okay. Now let's go to the next group. We have the 6 and the 8. What is our greatest common factor between the 6 and the 8? 2. So let's pull out a 2, a positive 2. Now 2 times what is 6? 3. 3x. Bring down that minus. And we have a 4. All right, notice we have the same thing in our parentheses. If they're the same, then we know we did it correct. Now let's go ahead and take out that parenthesis, 3x minus 4. And let's combine those factors on the outside.
So once we do the first one, can we just copy it down?
No, you have to check it, make sure you're doing it right. So it gives you a clue of what you're looking for when you get that first factor. So you have to see if you can get that factor on again. Whoops, that's not right. Let me write down the 2. X squared plus 2. Now, are we done? Or can we factor some more? Well, I heard a yes.
I'm all good.
You're good? Okay, can we do difference of squares here?
Yeah.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, but difference means you have to do it with the minus sign. Is that a minus sign?
No.
No, so we can't do difference of squares. So we
I'm done.
are done. Okay, let's go to number 3. How many terms do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4. What do we do if we have 4 terms? Grouping. Let's get our groups together. What's the next step for grouping here? After we get our groups together, what do we do first? Yes. GCF, greatest common factor. Good. We'll write that right there. Okay, our greatest common factor between 20 and 12. I hear 4 and I hear 2. We'll go with 4 because it's the greatest one, right? So we'll go with 4. And 2 is definitely a common factor, but we want to go with the biggest one possible. Yes?
Wouldn't the greatest common factor be 6?
Well, 6 can't go into 20 though. Yeah, if it was a 24, then, oh yeah, we'd probably go to 12, but. All right. So we have that 4. What else is a greatest common factor?
2.
Well, yeah, 2 it would be. I mean, as far as we're done with the numbers, what about the X and the Y? X. So let's take out an X. So we have 4X. 4 times 5 gives us 20. Then we bring down that Y. Very good. Bring down that plus. What goes next? 3. Yes. Now we bring down that plus sign. Do we have any greatest common factors in our next group? No. So we just bring that down. We'll put it in a group. And look at that. We have the parentheses are the same, right? Actually, do we have a greatest common factor in this case? Technically, it's
Understood more.
it's an understood one. Very good. All right, let's put our factor that was in parentheses and then combine the 4x plus 1. And we have our answer. Okay, number 4. Shh. Number 4. We have 4 terms, so we're going to do grouping. Let's go ahead and group these together. Here we go, number 4. Go ahead and check your answer. See, we have 6x cubed minus 10x squared. What is the greatest common factor there? You should have a 2 pulled out and x squared. I saw a lot of you already had that written down. Now you should have a 3x in the parenthesis. Bring down that minus, and you should have a 5. Now we bring down that minus, and the greatest common factor between 9 and 15 is a 3. So 3 times 3x, and then you would have negative 3 times what gives you a positive 15, a minus 5. Now we combine, or not combine, but we have this negative, or this 3x minus 5 factor. Let's make that its own group. And then combine that 2x squared minus 3 as a factor. 2x squared minus 3. Today we are going over section 7.4, factor by grouping. So let's go ahead and fill in our factoring guidelines. Number 1 is greatest common factor. This is just like we've been doing in factoring. You do this with any number of terms. So any number of terms. And this one, you always check with first. So always check first. So we always check with GCF first, greatest common factor. Now, if you have 2 terms, with two terms, you will do difference of squares. So remember, difference is when you're subtracting, and squares are when you have two numbers that are a perfect square. Three terms. If you have three terms, you will use trial and error. And it's also known as guess and check. So trial and error, also known as guess and check. Let's write that right here. And lastly, if you have four terms, you will do what's called grouping, and that is what we will be doing in this lesson. We will be focusing on grouping. Now, let's go ahead and go to number one. It says factor by grouping. So we have our groups right here. So what you're going to do is we have our terms. We have four terms. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have our four terms. So you will group the first two terms together and the last two terms together. Now let's go to the first group that we just made. Now you're going to look and see, do I have a greatest common factor that can come out? So you're going to do GCF. What is our greatest common factor? Well, between the 4 and the 6, that is definitely a 2, and they both have an A. Now I have what's left inside, 3, bring down that B, and then the plus. 2 times 2 is 4, and that's our 4A. Now let's bring down that plus sign, and we have 9B plus 6. What is the greatest common factor here between the 9 and the 6? That would be a 3. So what's left inside? Well, 3 times 3 is 9. Bring down that B, bring down that plus. 3 times 2 is 6. Now notice these parentheses have the same factor in it. We have 3B plus 2 and 3B plus 2. Whenever you're doing grouping, your parentheses should be the same. So now I have 3B plus 2 is my first factor. Now I'm going to take that 2A plus 3 and make another factor, 2A plus 3. And that is our answer. Now we can't factor down anymore. That's why we would stop right there. Let's go to number 2. How many terms do we have? We have 4. Therefore, we will do grouping. Let's get our group for the first group, our second group. Now let's go to this first group right here, just these two terms. What's the greatest common factor out of these two terms? Well, 3 and 4, we can't pull anything out of 3 and 4, but we have that x squared. So let's take out that x squared. And now we're left with 3x minus, bring down that minus, 4. Bring down that plus sign. We have 6 and 8. What's our greatest common factor between 6 and 8? The answer is 2. And now we have left 3x and minus 4. And notice that our parentheses are the same. Therefore, we know we did it right. So let's go ahead and bring down 3x minus 4. Put together our x squared plus 2. And that becomes our second factor, x squared plus 2. Now, you can see right here, we have this, let me erase that mark. You can see right here, we have this x squared plus 2. Now, there's two terms and we have the x squared. But remember, to do difference of squares, you must have a minus. That's a plus. Therefore, we are done. We cannot factor these down any further. Number 3. How many terms do we have? We have 4. Let's go ahead and group our terms. We have our two groups. Now let's get out our greatest common factor. Greatest common factor here would be, let's see, a number that can go into 12. 2, yes, but that's not the greatest one. What about 4? Yep, we could get a 4 out of both, and both have an x. Now we're left with 4 times what is 20? That's 5. Then we have that y, bring down that plus. 4 times 3 is 12, bring down the plus. Now notice here, this 5y plus 3. We can't really bring out anything, but because we need to bring out something, we will put a 1 because we can bring out a 1 and bring down that 5y plus 3. All right, notice our parentheses, they're the same, so we know we did it correct. Now we have 5y plus 3 is our first factor. Our next factor will be 4x plus 1. 4x plus 1. Number 4. We have 4 terms, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's make our group. 2 groups. And let's go ahead and get our GCF out. 6 and 10. What is the greatest common factor between 6 and 10? Definitely be a 2. And don't forget, we can bring out that x squared. Now 2 times what is 6? That'll be 3x. Bring down that minus. We have 5. Bring down that negative. And what can we bring out of the 9 and 15? The greatest common factor would be 3. Now we are left with 3x. Now we can't really bring down that plus sign because that would give us a negative 15 when we distribute that negative 3. So negative 3 times what will give us positive 15? It would be a negative 5. So let's go ahead and put a 5 right there. Okay, let's go ahead and take our factor of 3x minus 5. Combine our 2x squared minus 3. 2x squared minus 3. And we can't factor any further. Now we do have this minus right here, and we do have a square, but these aren't perfect squares. We can't get a number times itself to equal 3. So we know we have to stop there. Okay, let's go to the next page. Okay, number 5. Notice the directions say factor completely. So on this, we will be factoring this completely, meaning we might have to do multiple steps to get it completely factored. Okay, so we have our 4 terms. So let's go ahead and do grouping here. Our first group, our second group. Now, let's go ahead and get out our common factor, which in this case would be 5x. So now we are left with x plus 3. Bring down that plus. And we can factor out 5 and a y. And now we're left with x plus 3. Notice our parentheses are the same, which is good. We're on the right track. So let's go ahead and bring down that x plus 3. Combine our 5x and 5y. 5x plus 5y. Now, I want you to look at these factors. Are we done, or do we have common factors in here? So x plus 3 is done. What about 5x plus 5y? Look at this. We still have a common factor in here. That is 5. So let's go ahead and bring that over here, 5. And now we're left with that x plus y, right? So we factored that 5x plus 5. We brought out that 5. Now we're left with x plus y. Now we can bring down that x plus 3. And now we are officially done. So again, that's why it says factor completely, because you're going to have to keep checking, are you done? You might have to do something else next. Let's do number 6. Try to clean off this stray mark here. Okay, guess it's stuck. All right, now we have 3x squared plus 18x plus 5. So I have 3 terms here. So we're going to first start with greatest common factor, and then we will go into our 3 terms. So greatest common factor between the 3, 18, and 15 is definitely a 3. Now we're left with x squared plus 6x plus 5. Okay, now we have 3 terms in our parentheses. Now we will use trial and error to factor that down. Bring down that 3. 2 parentheses for trial and error. We have our x and x. We have this plus sign, so that means we're going to use whatever's in front, and those are plus. That's a plus. Now we have 5. We need factors of 5, so we would have 1 and 5. And are we done factoring? Yes, we can't go down any further. Okay, now let's go to number 7. Now we're looking for the greatest common factor. Do we have a greatest common factor? And the answer is yes, 100. Then we do x squared minus 9. Are we done factoring, or can we factor some more? We can do the difference of squares. So let's bring down that 100. And let's get our difference of squares here. X plus 3, x minus 3. Now we are done factoring. We can't factor any further. Let's go to number 8. So we have our 4 terms. So let's go ahead and do factor by grouping. Okay, we have our terms here. Now again, we're pulling out the greatest common factor. And to start off, we have an a squared. And then they both have a b. Now we're left with 3, 1b minus 2. Bring down that minus. Now what is the greatest common factor between 4 and 6? That would be 2. Let's see, they both have an a and they both have a b squared. Now we're left with 3b minus 2. Because 2 times 2 is 4. Those two negatives will make a positive. Okay, now we have our parentheses are the same. Now let's go ahead and get our factor, 3b minus 2 times, and then put our a squared b together with that 2ab squared. So a squared b minus 2ab squared. And are we done factoring at this point? Well, let's look at this. I have a lot going on in the second parenthesis right here. I have a b here and a b here. I have an a here and an a here. So guess what? We can actually do greatest common factor here. So let's go ahead and pull out. Let's move that factor over here. And now we have, let's see, we can pull out 1a and I can pull out 1b. Now I am left with an a in here, a minus, bring down that 2, and I have b, a minus 2b. So that one is done. So we just factored that, and now we are left with that other factor of 3b minus 2, so bring that down here. And now we are officially done factoring this. Okay, let's go ahead and go to number 9. Let's see, we have 3 terms, so we know we'll end up doing trial and error, but before we do that, let's do our greatest common factor. Remember, we always start with greatest common factor here. Greatest common factor between the 6, 15, and 36 would be 3, and they all have a y. Now we're left with 2x squared plus 5x minus 12. Let's go ahead and fix that. All right, here we go. There's our 12. Okay, now let's go ahead and now we will bring down that 3y and do trial and error. So we have 2x times x, and then we have this negative, which means a plus and minus. So let's do plus and minus. What are factors of 12 that are closest together? That would be our 4 and 3. But you know what? I'm going to fix this. Let's move our minus and plus. It should be minus and a plus, and we'll put our 4 with that x and 3 over here. All right, and that is as far as we can go as far as factoring. Number 10, we have 4 terms, therefore we will be doing grouping. But before we do that, before we do grouping, let's go ahead and pull out a greatest common factor here. Our greatest common factor for this whole thing would be a 2 and an x. And what are we left with? X cubed plus 3x squared minus 4x minus 12. Okay, so now we have our 4 terms. Let's go ahead and do grouping inside that parenthesis. So we end up with 2x, we're going to bring that down, and now we're working within this big parenthesis here. So this first group, what can we factor out? Well, we can factor out an x squared, and now we're left with x plus 3. Bring down that minus, and here we can factor out that 4. Now we're left with x plus 3. Okay, let's go ahead and put this all together. Bring down this 2x, bring out that x plus 3, and we will combine that x squared minus 4. X squared minus 4. Are we done, or can we factor some more? So look at this closely. Notice right here we have this x squared minus 4. That is called difference of squares. So let's bring everything down that we have, 2x times x plus 3. And now we will do the difference of squares. X plus 2, x minus 2. And now we are done.